Okay, hey Brattleboro, welcome to another edition of the Pulse. Today we're going to do something a little different. I've got one of our, and I'm very excited about this candidate, Peter Galbraith is with me, and we're going to go around the streets of Brattleboro and introduce him to people and let people interact with a Senate hopeful here for Windham County. And Peter, welcome, and I'm glad that you agreed to do this with us.
Well, Daryl, thanks, and thanks for this opportunity to reach out to people who are at home.
That's why we like to do this. A lot of people just can't get out all the time. They're interested in what's going on, and I want people to see what it's like just on the street of Brattleboro. You know, just like what we plan on doing is just walking around, introducing you, and seeing what people's reactions are, and just get some kind of a dialogue going. So we're going to just hit the street, Peter, and start talking to people, and then we'll put her on BCTV, which goes up and down the Windham County, area that borders our nice river, which is good for our Windham County Senate candidate.
Well, that it certainly is, and I actually look forward to the opportunity to talking to people and hearing what's on people's minds, because one of the important things I know about politics and government, it's as important to listen as it is to speak.
Boy, you got that right. I was more of a talker, still am, to be honest with you. But that is one of the things I had to learn to do, is shut up a little more and listen.
Everybody in public life, every politician, their natural tendency is to talk. So it's easy to talk. It requires discipline to listen.
And that's true, and it's one that I'm working on every day, because it's the people that you represent. You need to listen to them. Now, this is kind of set up, but I ran into one of my partners in one of my other things that I do here at VITA. So I wanted to introduce him to Peter. And VITA, we're working on a project together called Marijuana Resolve. He's one of the candidates, well, we hope, if elected, will be going to Montpelier. Maybe we should get his take right now on that one.
Well, the real question would be, how do we keep our young people out of prison from getting criminal records and not being able to get education and jobs? If you were in the Senate, how would you feel about working towards a bill for decriminalization of marijuana in Vermont?
Well, I'd like to, again, hear all sides of the discussion, including, of course, the law enforcement side. But that said, to keep somebody in prison, even briefly, is a very expensive proposition for all of us who are taxpayers. And to have somebody have a criminal record, particularly for possession or use of a small amount of marijuana, is to deprive society of somebody who could be productive. That kind of thing really hurts somebody's job prospects, and that means less tax revenue from that person, higher taxes for all of us. So it's really a matter of self-interest, aside from the fact, frankly, it's also an injustice to lock people away, again, for small amounts. I think that when you get on to other questions that I know you're interested in, the broader issue of decriminalization, of legalization, I think that's something that we need to have a discussion about, need to hear all points of view about, and I want to learn more about.
Now, can I ask you a question? When you take this before the police, what are you looking from them in terms of how they would respond to you about this issue, and particularly in terms of decriminalization? Because legalization we can kind of set aside a little bit for now, although we may address that later. How would you see the police response affecting your, influencing your ideas on this?
Well, I'm not entirely sure, because I haven't had that conversation. I have to imagine that there really, I could think anyhow, there'd be two perspectives. On the one hand, I think the police, like everybody else, would like to focus on really costly crime and not be putting away people for things that are both generally victimless and relatively minor. But the other side of the coin is, of course, the notion that sometimes you use a relatively minor offense to try and catch a big fish. The way in which Al Capone, for example, was got for tax evasion and not for many other crimes. I imagine that's the other side of that discussion.
Well, you talked about about legalization also as well. If a bill went before the state Senate for any reason for that, would that be something that you feel you could address also?
Well, that would be my job, would be to address that bill.
I guess what I meant was with the same open mind that you have towards decriminalization.
Yes, I mean, I think that one has to listen to all sides of that argument. I mean, I have to be blunt. I would, if you ask me now, I would vote against legalization. But I think that one has to hear all sides of the debate about what the consequences are.
So right now we know that you would vote against legalization.
But I would approach this in an open mind.
With an open mind. But what if so then what about the topic of decriminalization? So that we know you're settled at this point on legalization with an open mind. What about the issue of decriminalization?
Well,
are you settled on that too, or is your mind a little more open about that?
Well, my mind is open on all these questions. I really want to hear the evidence. Again, I think it's very expensive to society to incarcerate people for possession or use of small amounts of marijuana, which after all is where we have a very large percentage of people who are incarcerated, and it's very expensive to have those people have criminal records. And so unless I heard some compelling evidence on the other side, my instinct would be to be in favor of decriminalization, at least for small amounts of marijuana.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you're running. We have the field going strong and good candidates, and I really hope that I wish you well on all of this.
Thank you.
And thank you, Daryl. And thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Hey, okay, now we're going to just kind of cruise the street. Right. Now, what I'd like to do is head this way and get over there, because there's a couple people over there I'd like to introduce you to. So we're going to go that way. Curtis, I want to introduce you.
Daryl, face me.
Yes. Oh, no. Yeah, we got some campaign literature.
He's on the stump.
Listen, well, we're doing our show.
Hello,
Curtis, and I remember...
Jasper, nice to meet you.
Jasper, I mean, you've gotten a lot taller since I saw you last time, Jasper. Listen, Peter, we're just doing a little thing on the street here. I'm bringing him around, talking about something for me. I mean, you've got a lot of good issues. He's a Senate candidate for Windham County. Just one little quick clip so that you can, we're going to put it on the air.
Okay. So the latest data from the census is that 73% of Vermont's population growth comes from ethnic racial minorities. It used
72%.
73%.
And that includes over natural increase over births, or 72%?
73% net. And so what role do you see that population playing in the vitality of our communities?
Well, one of the things, Curtis, that you know about Vermont is that on issues of race and actually women's rights, the state has been extremely enlightened. Partly was the first state to abolish slavery. Of course, there were no slaves at that time, but nonetheless, it was an important statement. The state that had the highest percentage of losses on the northern side in the Civil War, and so I think this is a state that is, by its political character, welcoming to ethnic and racial minorities, which incidentally we use these terms, but in 20 or 30 years in this country, they're not going to be minorities. I mean, it's probably the wrong way to start to be talking about. In this state, they're minorities, but in our country, they aren't. And so, we simply have to build an inclusive community. And I mean, you and I are of a certain age, but I grew up in the civil rights movement, and the notion that our country would be where it is today was so unthinkable. I remember when Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of '64, I wrote Senator Aiken to get a copy of it. And I even, as a kid, I wrote in Lyndon Johnson's name on it because I thought that was such a landmark event. But that we'd see everything in my lifetime. Doesn't mean that there's still more to go, obviously. But I think we can feel proud as Americans and as Vermonters.
Let me play devil's advocate for a moment, if you permit me to. So, our history in Vermont is just that history in terms of, the first abolished slavery, the role that we played in the Underground Railroad, all of that is 200 years ago. What do we do today, and how does Vermont distinguish itself today as a place that's welcoming and is...
Curtis, I know you've been working on these issues. What do you think Vermont should be doing? I mean, incidentally, any candidate who comes forward and says he or she has all the answers is a candidate you ought to have some skepticism about. But you're the expert. My job is to listen to you.
Well, now you got to here. Get his business card.
Okay. All right. That will do. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, Brattleboro just did this brand new campaign. The one and only Brattleboro. It can certainly promote tourism that would attract dollars from ethnic racial minorities from New England in terms of looking at. We're right here. We've got the Underground Railroad sites that are here in Brattleboro. We've got Guilford in terms of Elijah Prince. There's any number of places that give you bike tours. Hitting all the historical sites. The fairgrounds in Brattleboro. Where Union troops left, where Black troops left as well. Just one idea off the top of my head in terms of how to
pursue that though with you if I can, because a great deal of our business is recreational sports, skiing in the winter, camping, hiking, and I mean let's be clear. I mean, you and I know that minorities come to Vermont in much smaller numbers than the proportion of their population. I mean, you see that if you ski, you see that when you're out hiking. So, obviously we should be focusing on attracting that community to those recreational activities.
Exactly. There's no reason why the Black Marathons Association or the National Ski Association or the other minority recreational associations couldn't hold their conferences here. I mean, what are we doing to attract that? There are any number of black bicycling associations in Connecticut, Massachusetts. Let's draw them up here. There's a $300 billion market just in New England of disposable income of ethnic racial minorities. Let's get some of those recreational dollars here. And if people come up here and they see, they may decide to stay. But in the meantime, we can at least take their dollars.
Yeah. Thanks,
Great. Well,
Sure.
thanks.
Appreciate your time.
Jasper, thanks for taking some time out to chat. Yeah, I know. My son feels roughly the same way that you do.
Yeah, he hangs out with his dad quite a bit.
No, but yeah.
I agree.
Well, let's have a discussion about politics.
Yeah, that's what
that isn't always the most fun thing.
Yeah.
Well, what are your politics? What do you want to see?
Candy everywhere.
Their
There's a
priorities are ours.
I was going to say the old chicken in every pot, but maybe I don't think there are enough kids voting for me to do the Candy for Every Kid program, because the parents I might lose the votes of the parents, and kids don't vote.
Get some candy there. Take care. Thanks, Curtis.
Okay, take care. All right, good luck.
Take care.
I'm doing all right. Enjoying being down here, downtown.
Is that where the offices are?
Yeah, right. It's right across the street there in the Hooker Dunham, 139. We're on the second floor. The small but mighty little paper.
It's doing a beautiful job.
It's terrific.
It's a small, mighty little paper that I happen to like. And you know what I really like about it? Is I really like the stories. there's been some great stories in this thing. They had one on the director of fun that I think Sarah did. Or no, she did the young man that was homeless. Good stories.
Well, that was his 17-year-old intern who wrote that story.
It's the Sarah.
To Sarah.
Yeah, did a great job. And I'm glad you're here. It's just good for everybody.
Well, it is because it's a small town. We all have to get along.
That's right. We try our best. Even when I don't get along sometimes with somebody, you know, there's the next day. You still gotta deal with everybody. That's one thing people don't understand. As a politician, you gotta be able to, which I don't have to tell you, you gotta be able to put things behind you, because the next time you may be working closely with the person. I mean, it's just one of the things I learned. That, listening, there's a whole bunch of things. Let's go across the street over there. You done, Randy? Are you? Take care.
Well, anyhow, congratulations. And
This is the happiest I've been in 30 years.
There's David.
Okay, folks, we're gonna start going here. Kind of sound check. Tell us we're too loud. Not loud enough. Something's
I
out of
actually
balance.
just,
Can't hear something too much.
I was
My
interviewing
voice
the
is
rest
too-
of the
too
candidates
loud.
for the story for this week.
Both
I
of them?
talked to Hillary Cook and I talked to
Toby.
Toby and I talked a little bit to Jeanette, and then I also talked to John Moran and also the candidate in Wyndham Bennington Ward.
Desmond! How you doing, buddy? Hey, listen, do me a favor, Desmond. Can you say watch BCTV? Say watch BCTV. You're gonna be shy? Don't get hurt.
Desi, he's recording this.
Yeah, I was gonna have you on TV. You don't want to do it? Then Mom can see you. Say hi, Mom. You can hold it. Say hi, Mom. No, hey, nah. You know, he ain't like me. Hey, David, just want to introduce you real quick.
Hi,
Good.
Albert. Hi, Peter.
He's running for the Senate, Wyndham County. Now, David's somebody I'm working with to build a skate park in Brattleboro. He's part of the BASIC group. And how you doing today, by the way? You're doing a little better today?
I'm happy that it's Friday. I feel very appreciated and thankful.
And with your eye on somebody who's moving backwards to here.
Yeah, he moves a lot.
And I also have a friend who's with an eye shot who recognized you on site as from one of your other lives and is like, but is a little shy. So this is the Vermont Senate seat that who holds currently?
Well, there are two. One is held by Peter Shumlin, and the other by Jeanette White. Peter, of course, is vacating it to run for governor. So there are three candidates for two seats.
Okay, well, I think you're in.
Well,
We expect your full support for all things recreational and skate park based.
Yeah, that's where we'll be getting you. Find us
Well,
some
no,
money.
you're into everything.
I know. Why do you think I'm promoting you? Man?
There's a lot of hidden benefits that aren't really apparent. A lot of people when they think of a facility like this, they just think of it as, you know, almost in some ways it's a place for those kids who are causing trouble to go and a place for them to be, so they're not causing issues for shop owners downtown and drivers and pedestrians elsewhere. But it's an economic driver. It's a part of a transportation network. It's something that our local services have done analyses and shown that having places to gather are extremely important. And this is going to be a multi-generational open facility up in the center of town. It's a great project. So we're really excited.
What is has it begun yet?
We were sort of just coming off the final hurdle of sort of becoming an official subcommittee of the town to then start raising money in the town's name and going through the design process and bidding process with builders in the town's name. So until we came fully under the town's name, we've kind of been this like little ad hoc group. But now we're ready to start to be able to officially fundraise and look for funding.
And you have a site and town land.
That was the key. Yeah, once we had a site, we could actually, it made it worthwhile to become a part of an official committee. Without a site, the official committee was moot.
Well, good luck. That sounds like a terrific project.
I'm sure we'll.
That's right. We're going to go across the street so we don't have... Yeah.
Ready to go.
you, man. Nice to see you. Listen, I got the radio running.
Good.
The TV going.
Yeah.
Walking around with Peter today.
Yeah.
Listen, if you can come down another time, because I know you're going to be around again, let me know in advance, okay? And we'll try and get a little street thing happening with you, too.
That sounds great.
Okay?
That sounds
but since I got you right now, with Matt Dunn running for governor of the great state of Vermont, and he is my candidate, somebody I was very lucky to work with when you were in the Senate on a couple of things. Some we weren't so successful on, but we gave it a good shot.
Yeah.
Matt, I'm going to give you a couple minutes here. As you know, I'm walking around with Peter too, and and I'm another guy who I think brings a lot to the state.
Sure.
But give us a little blip on. I mean, you know why I'm endorsing you. I love your energy level. I've worked with you. You're a can-do guy, good attitude.
Yep.
Now that I gave you all that good stuff, give the people 5 minutes why they should, or a couple minutes why you're running, why they should vote for you.
Sure. And the reason I'm running is that we are at a critical point in our state's history. What we're doing right now is clearly not working on a bunch of levels, and it's not the situation in our different communities, because as you can see here, on a night like this, people are out, they're engaged, they want to be a part of it. The problem's in Montpelier. We have the biggest deficit in our state's history. We've got healthcare costs that are going up $1 million a day, and we're losing jobs. And we're losing it because Montpelier hasn't been listening to folks at the local level. We need to make sure that we're creating jobs that that allow people to stay here, allow for our main streets to be vibrant. The kind of infrastructure the state can do includes bringing high-speed internet to the last mile. We're absolutely last in this country, and we can make it happen. And the folks that have gotten excited about the campaign, some of them are people who have worked with me before and know that I'm a person who will focus on a problem and then solve it. But a lot are saying, you know what, it's the experience that I've had at this particular moment in time that's going to make a difference. I've had the opportunity to serve for 11 years in the House and the Senate and the legislature. I have experience actually growing jobs in Vermont in a couple of different types of companies, and I helped manage, I actually was the director of the AmeriCorps Vista program, which was a 6,000 person public enterprise doing good work. But I learned how to do transformational work of big public organizations. It's about the size of state government in Vermont, so I'm confident that on day one we can get to work bringing fresh new ideas to the table and moving our state into a new era.
Well, I look forward to working with you as governor. That's what I look forward to. So good luck, and hopefully we'll see you around here. As a matter of fact, you're going to be in our parade on the 4th of July.
I sure will.
All righty, man. Look forward to see you there.
Great.
Thanks a lot, Matt, man.
Thank you,
Good
Darryl.
luck. Take care. I know you're hitting all over the state, and you don't have baggy eyes yet, especially with the new one being born. I mean, my God, your wife's a real trooper.
She is a trooper. Her folks are troopers, and
because we can't do it without.
Absolutely.
You can't do this without strong family support, which I know you got. And is your wife still writing books? By the way?
She sure is writing books. She just came out with a graphic novel, which is kind of fun. So it's sort of it's called This Broad Ocean. It's about Amelia Earhart.
Third or fourth book?
Fifth.
Oh,
someone in the household had to have talent.
Somebody had to make money. You're a politician. Hey,
exactly.
Thanks a lot, man.
Oh, you
good
bet.
luck.
Great to be here.
I'm glad I'm
Thanks,
supporting
Darryl.
you too, man. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
You bet.
I see you rise up. Yes, I see you rise up. Except for you, my friends come and they go. I see you rise my lifetime friend, I must be.
All righty, man. So, Bev, you want to ask him a question? What would you like from a hopeful?
Well, why are you returning to Vermont politics? Vermont government?
Well, because this has been my home, and even though I've been serving As a diplomat for actually a quarter of a century, I've always kept this as my home. I came back full-time in 2003. And frankly, I'm very concerned about the state we're in. First with the recession, which may not be cyclical, but structural, meaning that we're facing fiscal problems that are not going to go away when the economy turns back up. And I think that's one issue that needs to be addressed. And second, for those of us who have been involved in public life for a long time, who've always felt that the great unfinished business of our country was healthcare. Every other industrialized country in the world has a comprehensive healthcare system. We don't. We now have the new federal bill. I think it's a step forward, but I think it has many shortcomings. And so I see this as an opportunity between now and 2014 for us in Vermont to try to advance, to do some of the things that were not in the federal health care bill. Ideally, I'd like to see a single-payer system. That would require the consent of the Congress, because there's so much that is that comes from the federal government, Medicare, Medicaid, but most importantly, the tax concessions that go with employer-provided health care. But if we can't do that, there are things I think we can do. We certainly can have a full-up public option in the state. So those are some. It's really the opportunity, both the challenge and the opportunity.
That's good. Isn't the real dilemma? I mean, the current bill that passed calls for 3 options to come through, and certainly one of them should be probably a public option, some kind of exchange. But the problem is when you have a state that's not wealthy, where's the money come from to pay for this? Well, I don't know how much value it is. How do we afford it when we can't pay for Iran, we can't pay for anything else, we can't pay for the Medicare? Congress passes entitlements that don't get funded. It's been the history of this thing. How do we break the cycle of that unwillingness to pay for what we want?
Well, I mean, that's the right question. And I can say that anybody who tells you they have the full answer should be regarded with a great deal of suspicion. The truth is, we don't even know what this federal bill, which was several thousand pages, exactly what it will require of us. And certainly, when I talk about where I'd like to see us go, it has to be done in a fiscally responsible way. I mean, we are a high-tax state, and we don't have any additional tax capacity. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be bad, but we'll simply lose people to other states, so that's not an option. And so, as we look at it, and that's why I talk about a public option, perhaps a Vermont Health Insurance Corporation, which would enter into the exchanges and which would not have additional costs. But there are dilemmas with that, including the fact that if the price is too high, the healthy part of the population drops out, the sick part is in, and then the costs become prohibitive.
Well, thank you. Good stab at it. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, that's almost a good question to ask.
No, really, seriously.
But 76% when we were there was already federal funding.
Right. And we have an unfortunate idea where we have expectations in the culture that are too high in terms of, in my opinion, what the economic condition we have is now. I think something fundamentally has changed. We expect things just to come back like they always had, to spend like we always have, and all those kinds of things, and how we adjust to a lower set of possibilities in the context of trying to do something corporate that's very important. That's an absolute necessity from my point of view.
Doug, let me just say, I mean, we've known each other since Phil Hoff's campaign in 1970. But what has been the hallmark of my career in public service has been to be practical, to look at what is feasible. And it is those skills of trying to find practical solutions, of being a diplomat, of being able to negotiate. That's what I will bring to these, to what we face in Montpelier. And we're not, we cannot embark on a course of action that is going to bankrupt the state. On the other hand, if there are ways to advance health care, I want to be working to see what we can do.
Well, good luck to you. That certainly is an important goal, and I can really be on that.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Here.
I know, I already.
So listen, here we are.
We got
with,
the Peters.
That's right.
We got the
I'm not going to
Peters
say
from
what
Windham
just
County.
came to my mind right off the bat.
That's good.
So, listen, I don't even know what to ask both of you here, but how's the campaign going for you, Senator?
Well, it's great to be in the South. It's going really well. And, you know, really, Democrats have to make a tough decision here. We've got 5 good candidates. But the fact of the matter is, I get tough things done, and people never wonder where I stand. And we've got tough work to do, creating jobs, getting Vermonters back to work, making sure that we move to renewable energy, that we get single-payer healthcare system in this state, which I believe we can do, that we get early childhood education on the same level as the rest of our education system, and that we finally actually move to renewable energy supply, which I believe we can do. So it's an ambitious agenda, but I believe I can accomplish it if Vermonters will give me their vote.
I think we can too.
So we're going to go get them.
So, you know, if you win that thing,
And
we're
I'm
going
glad
to
to
get on
introduce
TV.
my friend Peter Galbraith, who's running for my seat.
That's right. Well, he's running for one of them.
For one of the seats.
And we're very lucky to get somebody with his ability.
Well, thank you.
So I don't want to be mixed with them now, so we're going to just keep on moving on. And he's got a whole crew with him. Look at this. I like the T-shirts. We're going to do about maybe a couple more interviews. We'll get a half hour in, and then I'll let you go on. Okay? How are you? Yeah, this is where you want to be. Yeah, this is where, and you're where you want to be. Oh my goodness, Frederick.
Not here yet. Sorry to say.
Well, we don't film him. Don't film him. He ain't got the kid with him. Turn on the camera. Oh, yeah. Do we got any running?
Your support. Appreciate it. Napkin.
Oh, that is such a good idea. So what are we doing, you guys? Who are we raising money for?
Brattleboro Winter Carnival. Nice
Well, I'll
job,
give you a buck. Because I give everybody a buck as I walk down here. It costs me a fortune.
And then the
Here's one.
Brattleboro Winter Carnival is also raffling off a brand new.
Here we are, Senator Opal getting his nice little chocolate cherry.
Good? Excellent. Very good.
And we got our cameraman Joe. Finally, there he is. He's picking his strawberry now. Usually he's on this side of the camera, but hey,
Making a mess.
it's all right. Joe knows how to twirl that thing. He's got it down.
So where are you? Where's your operation? Brattleboro Winter Carnival. We're here every February during school break. Right. And we are raising money for next year's carnival. One of our biggest fundraisers is we're raffling off a brand new Subaru Forester. $100 a ticket, only 300 tickets being sold. Drawings in October. So this is to help us put on a whole week of family fun. That's terrific. Well, lots of fun. And let me just introduce myself, Peter Galbraith, candidate for the Vermont Senate. Excellent. That's why I walk around with these brochures. Maybe I give you. You can give us one, yeah? Yeah, great. And
But
No. You're a candidate. When you're a candidate,
what happened?
When
I
you're a
know,
candidate,
I
you
know.
I'll help you if
So
you face
scared.
the camera.
Yeah, look,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
With
This is like-
candidates, we face the camera and
Try to look media savvy.
Yeah,
Try to look like we're television anchors, right? Or
well,
like,
that's good. I
we
mean,
really
you
know
of course
what
could.
we're talking.
You never know, you know.
Well, let's see. Good evening, everyone in Brattleboro. I hope you're having a great time at Gallery Walk tonight. What else should I say?
Well, tell them who you are and what you're doing.
Oh, my name is Valerie Stewart.
And
Is-
what are you?
Oh, is this live?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, if you could edit this,
No, no.
that would be great.
No, no, we go.
Oh, this is live.
This is
yeah.
live.
So I'm Valerie
That's cool,
Stewart,
Valerie.
and
Because it makes you look human.
there you go. Absolutely.
I can tell you, this show
Yeah.
did a lot for me.
Oh, you did.
Yes, it did.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I did.
That's saying something.
I mean, I'm still broke.
Yeah.
Nobody knows me. And I'm still on the same street I was 12 years ago. See what it's done for me?
Yeah, well, you know, I don't want to move. I love my 1850s farmhouse in West Brattleboro, and I would really love to serve the people of District 1 because I have very strong feelings about a number of issues that I think are relevant to pick 3. Preserving Vermont's agricultural heritage is one of my real kind of core issues that I really care about. I think we really need to preserve our agricultural landscape and protect family-owned farms. And secondly, I think a livable wage is incredibly important, and I definitely would work for that. And I
Just keep walking.
also feel strongly about supporting youth and families, supporting the families and the community values that make Vermont the special place it is.
Beautiful, and I'm glad you didn't do the. That is good. That is.
Thank you.
Excellent. So we give you a little bit of.
Is he like your co-anchor or something?
No, well, I thought we'd come around because, nobody knows who he is, so I walk around and everybody says hi to Peter and they don't even know. I have to give him the microphone. I don't even know what I'm doing now.
You were so good at that. Healthcare thing in the retreat that I figured, you were the healthcare rock star. telling
there's
the
a few
truth
things. That's
to
what I
the
do.
populace here,
Yeah.
man,
Well, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm a street guy.
That was good. I know. No,
this
that
is
was
what I
good.
do.
That was good. It brought it down to reality, which is, I
Yeah.
see all these
And I
people
work
come
with all
into the
them folks,
emergency room.
and
It's
they
so
know me,
sad.
and it's.
That was very good because it
thank you.
showed what's wrong. Everybody's
The
using
most
the
dangerous place in
emergency room
Brattleboro,
for
Elliott Street.
healthcare. Yeah.
Brattleboro Memorial Hospital is the most dangerous place in the town.
Isn't that
It's
sad?
unbelievable what we got going on in there.
Police force for that? Oh, it was just.
Yeah, the whole thing. Well, we got to. We're taking care
All
of
right,
it.
you guys, take care of
Good
it.
luck on yours. Recycle paper.
Oh,
Okay, because somebody will say
that's a
something.
good point.
I'm telling you, if it's on a colored brochure, make sure it's on recyclable paper.
So you can read all.
All right, I read about you at the top.
Especially,
Oh
all
no.
right, we'll read my letter.
Okay.
It's just amazing. I know it'll make you cry.
Well, we should bring in some
Hi, Joe.
some humor too.
Could you edit that so I look good?
You look good anyhow.
Yeah, Joe. Okay. What's your first name?
Maren,
Where are you from?
Norway.
Norway.
Nolan from Newfane.
Where?
Newfane, Vermont.
Are they here with you visiting or something?
With my friend.
Yeah. You are.
Magnus, and I'm from Norway.
Excellent.
Stan, and I'm from Norway.
Yeah, you I would have probably guessed after they told me. Okay? You look Norwegian to me. I could really tell. Blonde and blue eyes. Now listen, Peter Galbraith is one of our Senate candidates. I don't expect you to know much about that for the state of Vermont. One thing I wanted to ask you is, what brought you here, number one?
Well, we have family here.
Oh, good. And so you you visit here often?
Yeah, quite often actually, like almost once a year.
Well, and where in Norway are you from?
He was a diplomat. Now, I don't know, where'd you go over Norway? You must have been there a couple times, huh?
Well,
I see it.
yes,
That's where you kinda-
because my wife is Norwegian, and my children, whose names are Liv and Eric, and my wife's name is Tuna, are in fact good Norwegian names, and so I have a lot of connections to Norway.
Any language?
The thing, my wife feels that I should learn Norwegian, but the problem with Norway is that every Norwegian speaks excellent English, and so you can never have the chance to learn Norwegian because they won't talk to you in Norwegian.
That's cool.
So, but anyhow, and so we live in Townsend, which is the town next to Newfane. In fact, I'll show you. There's the family. So there's Tuna, Eric, Liv, and the dog is Freya. Freya.
Oh,
I mean, a Norwegian goddess, right? there's the history. Now, I won't give a brochure to you guys, but to your colleague from Newfane, because there's a potential voter. Well, parents. Remember,
Parents, talk to your parents. Let them
Talk to
read the
your
brochure. So let me just ask you now, is this your first time here?
No.
You have family here too?
Yeah. They're my brothers.
Oh, okay. We got all sorts of relatives then and stuff. Good. Well, I'm glad you guys are here. And thanks to Squaw for just talking to us for a second. Okay. I appreciate it, man. It was great. Take care, man. Take care.
Talk from Missouri. Thank you.
Oh, what's that mean then?
Thanks for the visit.
Oh, great.
I hope that's what it is. How are you? Oh, yes, once again.
Are you Norwegian too?
No. This is Arabic or you're doing. Yeah. Well, it's also Arabic. It's a.
I can say thank you 32 languages. Other than that, forget it.
Look at you. Thank you. 32 languages.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good thing to know how to say.
Oh, it's incredible the effect that you get from that.
Oh, yeah.
How are you doing?
Very well, and yourself?
What are you running for this week?
The one same thing I was running for last week, actually.
You should run for governor.
You know, I'm running for the Senate from Windham County, which.
Well, you got my votes in for you.
Well, all right. Can I ask you to give my brochure to somebody else? Sure. After you, but thank you very much.
I lived right across the street from Lil and Vern.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and they were dear friends of mine.
Yeah, they were wonderful.
Good Democrats. I miss them desperately.
Yeah, well, it's a whole generation, which of course also included my parents. Yeah. And you know, we miss them all. Was this in Newfane or in Brattleboro? Yeah.
And I've only moved up here. I moved up here about 4 years ago. But I will
spread the word.
You need any help or?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll get in touch. You want email?
Yeah, there's an email. I think it's on the back here.
All right, I'll find it.
Yeah, there's a GalbraithVT@gmail.
Freddie.
So the
maybe Freddie will introduce you to Peter Galbraith, running for the Vermont State Senate.
Hi.
They're my neighbors too.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Peter.
Let me give you a brochure since I have them.
Galbraith, it's a go.
Well, that's
we heard you speak.
Oh, yeah,
Many years ago, wasn't it, at the library?
SIT.
SIT?
Yeah. Well, I've spoken every year, and last year was at the Congregational Church, but always for the Windham World Affairs Council.
Yeah, I saw you go to church.
Yeah. I'm hoping that at least if I get into the Vermont Senate, that I'll be able to talk about good news, because whenever it's on foreign policy, it isn't a lot of good news.
Well, you can replace Shelburne.
Beg pardon?
You can replace Peter Shelburne.
Well, that's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, that's the idea.
Matter of fact, we heard your father's name. I think you were there at the library several years ago.
It was, I think, one of his last times doing it at the library, and then I think he asked me to also fill in.
Right, you did. That was enjoyable.
We had some old neighbors of your father's from Washington, D.C. with us. I don't know if you remember the name, Lockrans.
John Lockran.
Kathy Lockran, they were my neighbors. Years ago, in fact, you probably played with his kids, Michael and Kate.
I think actually it would have been my older brother, because I was never a child in Washington. Yeah, my older brother was. Beg pardon? Now that's the one who's on the radio is my younger brother, the economist. Yeah.
The economist.
In the family business.
Get that word out right.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a
Good luck.
Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you, folks.
Okay,
Thanks, Freddie.
Carry on. Thanks. And then I got 2 more votes right there.
There you go. Joe, what's your time? Well, I hope you enjoyed the time on the street with Peter here. And Peter, I want to thank you very much for letting us do this and spending the time just kind of walking around in downtown Brattleboro. Very informative. It really lets people see your credentials and how you react. So I'm going to give you now just a couple minutes to talk to the folks watching, about maybe voting for you.
Well, Daryl, first, let me just thank you for taking me around. This is a wonderful town. It always was the place that where, living up the valley when it came to Brattleboro. And the great thing about Brattleboro is the sense of community that Brattleboro has. Of course, it's part of the larger Windham County community. And it's so vibrant in a way that most of the downtowns in Vermont, frankly, are not. And that's not because of anything special about its location. It's because of its people. And that's really what's so special. And this is Windham County is a very special place, and special both for its beauty and for the sense of community. And that's why it has a place that I've always called my home. It's even when I went off to serve our country in the Balkans, in Afghanistan, East Timor. This was my home. It's the place I came back to, and now I'm concerned about the challenges that we face here in Vermont. We've gone through the worst recession since the 1930s, and even as the economy recovers, it's not clear that our state finances are going to recover, and that is a challenge that is going to require enormous attention and skill. But it's not just bad news. I also see an enormous opportunity for us here in Vermont with the passage of the federal health care bill. Having worked in various places in the world, it's always been shocking to me that the United States, the richest country in the world, does not have provided citizens comprehensive health care. We made a big step toward that with the federal bill, but it still falls short. And I think here in Vermont we can move things forward toward the goal of universal coverage. I'd like to see a single-payer system. That's what I'd like to work for, but it also has to be done in a way that's affordable. It's going to require work with Congress. And if we can't do that, because we can't get the necessary financial support from the Congress, then I think the other option is for Vermont to have a public option. That's something I would like to work for. I think the hardest thing in politics is to look at people and to ask for their support, but that's what I'm doing. I hope that I can have the support of those who are watching this show. I think my record, having served during the wars in the Balkans, negotiated the peace agreement that ended the war in Croatia, having served in East Timor after it was destroyed and in Afghanistan, is a record of getting results, producing results in very difficult places. And frankly, the skills that one has as a diplomat, as a negotiator, as a problem solver, are skills I think that will serve me well in Montpelier if, in fact, you choose to give me your vote and if I win. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much, Peter, again. And I think you got some tremendous skills, and that's one of the reasons why I'm supporting you. I think what we need in Montpelier are those skills. One of the things that I only hope, I know you're a Democrat, but you've been used to working with hard parties before. I hope when you go up there, though, that we can try and not do the Democrat-Republican thing. Because as an independent, that's the one thing that drove me nuts.
Well, Darrell, I worked for 14 years for the U.S. Senate, and I'll tell you something, maybe it's not going to help me politically, but you'll remember Jesse Helms, hard right Republican. I worked with him on a number of issues, because when it came to the matter, for example, of stopping Saddam Hussein from gassing the Kurds, from raising that issue, which incidentally the Reagan administration wanted to look the other way, Jesse Helms, along with Claiborne Pell and Ted Kennedy and Al Gore, I put together a coalition. He was terrific, and he backed me up. When I was nominated to go to Croatia, he was one of my supporters, as was the Liberal members. So I think
you know how to do it.
Well, look, the idea is to get results. It's very unsatisfying to just be scoring points and calling names. And one of the reasons, I have to tell you, I would never consider running for the state Senate in any other state except Vermont. Of course, I live here, and I've always lived here. I've always had this as my legal residence. But I wouldn't do it in any other state because the politics is so nasty. Here in Vermont, we have a political system that really is focused on results. And yeah, I mean that's it. And so that's what I'm interested.
You can have a maintenance there. You can have a housewife there. You can have a farmer there.
Well,
it's an amazing.
Well, all I can say, Daryl, is that your profession at least has been represented. So far as I know, there has never been a diplomat in the Vermont legislature.
Right.
And so I'm aiming to fill that important gap.
Well, thank you for putting your name out there, folks that are watching. I hope if you're going to have 2 votes for Senate for the Windham County seats, and I hope you can give one of them to Peter Galvin.
When I was a young man, I cut down these trees. Now I'm a grown man, I let them fall by themselves. But everything changes, everything changes, everything changes.
I'm ready.
Okay, you can be in it too. I don't think I'll talk to you though.
I'm over here.
Okay. So, are we on? So, it looks like this is definitely a political gathering here in Brattleboro today. We've had a lot of them here. Good old gallery walk. I'm standing with Steve Hauer, candidate for Lieutenant Governor, also another member of the House who I served on. Very happy to see you running. And as we've just talked, you can use my name.
Thank you. Daryl, thank you very much. I appreciate your support.
I hope you do all right, especially now that I'm going to be supporting you.
That's right. Well,
I tend to pick, I hate to jinx you, but I don't pick winners, man.
Well, this is going to be the year you turn that around. You're going to win this year.
Because I got a lot of people I'm endorsing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
So Steve, why don't you give the people of Brattleboro, this goes from like Vernon up to Newfane.
Okay.
We reach like 30,000 homes. I don't know how many watch. But anyway, give the folks, take the mic, give them like a 3-minute spiel on why you're running and what you hope to accomplish as Lieutenant Governor.
All right. Well, my name is Steve Howard. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. I believe Vermonters need an economy that serves all Vermonters, not just those at the top. I'm a strong advocate of a Medicare for all self-insurance plan to reduce the cost of health care. I believe in decommissioning Vermont Yankee on schedule with a fully funded decommissioning fund. And as Lieutenant Governor, I'm going to put my nearly 20 years of grassroots organizing experience and 12 years of experience in the legislature to work to end the poverty gap in our public schools. I want to just also say how great it is to be here in Brattleboro. I remember I was an organizer, a tenant organizer at the Westgate apartments when they were being redone and turned over to the tenants. And I think, Daryl, you were on the board, actually, when I was the organizer.
I remember that until you
mentioned that. I remember that.
I couldn't believe it. And then when you said it, all of a sudden it rang a bell. I couldn't believe that.
Right. No, I learned an awful lot from the folks who live at Westgate. I remember them.
And you were very helpful with that whole project, too. So.
Well, thank you.
All right, well, how you doing? How do you think you're doing on your campaign?
We're doing really well. We've been endorsed by the 2 largest labor unions in the State Employees Union, the Vermont State, the AFL-CIO. Been endorsed by Governor Tom Salmon, Governor Madeline Kunin, and also 65 current and former legislators, now 66. 66. So we're getting close. We're doing well, and I think my sister Lisa is here today campaigning. My family's out all over the state helping. So
now, because you're smiling, and I saw you're smiling, you seem to really like the campaign trail.
I love it. I love people. I love talking to them. Good. And I think when I'm Lieutenant Governor, I'm going to be a full-time Lieutenant Governor, but I'm not going to stay in Montpelier. I'll be there during the session, but during the rest of the year, I'm going to be out among people, talking to them, trying to help them get back into the driver's seat so that state government responds to what they want state government to respond to, not the lobbyists, not the special interest groups.
Government by the people for the people.
Right. And
we really need to do that.
Absolutely. And that's what you did when you were in the House. So that's the tradition I'm from.
It is tough.
It is. It's not easy.
Because once you get well, you know how hard it is. We come up with ideas, we got plans, we want things done.
Yes.
And then you got to get 76 other legislators to agree with you.
That's right.
That's
right.
Governor.
That's
so
right.
It's a little bit trickier than just what we want.
That's right, exactly.
Well, Steve, I'm glad you put your name out there.
Thank you.
Good luck. And,
Thank you very much.
You know, have fun in Brattleboro, man.
I'm going to enjoy this. Nice to see you. Thank
Take
you very
care.
much.
Hey, I just met you. Tell the folks your name.
Jeffrey Anderson.
And Jeffrey, you were just sitting here and you're telling me what you're going to do. I think it's a very good idea. It's your second year doing it. Let the folks know what it is you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how can they be a participant.
Well, next month, August 7th and 8th, I'll be going up to Castleton to ride my bike 100 miles 2 days in a row. And it's to support the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Like I said, this will be my second year doing it. I got 5 local businesses that donated raffle prizes to help out, so I'm selling raffle tickets down here at Gallery Walk this month and next month in August. Plus, I'll be down at the Welcome Center July 29th doing raffle tickets and offering treats and coffee and everything for donation as well. So if you want to come down and help me out, that's fine. Or if you want to donate online, you can also do that by going to maine.nationalmssociety.org. maine.nationalmssociety.org/go/don't-panic-79.
Okay, thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
And if you want to support, he'll be here next Gallery Walk. Come down and give him a couple bucks.
Thanks a lot.
This is Daryl Pillsbury, along with my cameraman Joe. Say bye, Joe. We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Pulse of Brattleboro, A Walk on the Street with Peter Galbraith, and we'll see you next time right here on the Pulse. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
Excellent.
That was terrific.